and welcome everyone today to ICF Orange County Charter Chapter. And today we're doing a webinar on credentialing, part 2 in the series of a 4-part series on credentialing, ICF credentialing. And today is about nuts and bolts. And we're so happy to have all of you here today to join us for 1 hour to learn more about ICF credentialing, the different levels, the different requirements, and the benefits and the values of having an ICF credential also. But today is going to focus mainly on how to go about doing it. And one of the reasons we wanted to present the nuts and bolts session today was because we realized at the ICF Orange County chapter that a lot of people were hesitant about getting their credential because they didn't know how to do it. They felt it was complicated. And some people went as far as to do the training for ICF and then did not advance to the credential because they felt that it was too complicated. So we are here today to dispel the myths of credentialing. And we've got 2 people here zooming in from us. Angie, give us a wave. And Angie is the Regional Development Manager who covers the Northeast and Southeast regions for the North American, Latin American team within the professional coaches family of ICF. She joined ICF in September 2010 and supported the credentialing and standards family of ICF Global for more than 10 years. So she knows what she's talking about. Within their credentialing team, she has supported them with her extensive experience in PCC marker training and application processes. So she's particularly an expert at the PCC, the 2nd level. And she's also had training and provides training on performance evaluations and credential renewals. And then we also are really lucky. So by the way, Angie is calling in from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Thank you, Angie, again, for making the time on your trip. She was down there supporting the Brazil chapter. We've got April. April, give us a wave. April Summerford is the ICF Regional Development Manager for the Western region of the United States. She is a professional certified coach. Her academic background is in psychology, and she holds a master's in industrial and organizational psychology. She currently lives in Central California with her husband, a few friendly hens, and a couple of noisy ducks on a small farm. So thank you for being here. In case we hear any animal chatter in the background, we know that it could be April. So anyway, we're continuing to let a few people come in. And just one quick note on housekeeping is that Angie would prefer that we hold our questions to the end of the slideshow. But make sure, if you'd like, just put your hand up so I can keep track of you. And we'll take it step by step after she finishes. So with no further ado, or put your question in chat, that will work too. Over to you, Angie.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to be able to have the opportunity to be with you all today. This presentation does feel a little long, but please be patient with me. I really want to offer enough time at the end for those questions and for me to provide those answers for you. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. ICF offers 3 credentialing levels: the Associate Certified Coach, or the ACC, the Professional Certified Coach, or PCC, and the Master Certified Coach, or the MCC. The level for which one is eligible to apply is based on the amount of training hours and coaching experience hours obtained. To apply for the MCC, you must have gained a PCC first. However, you may apply directly for either the ACC or PCC if you meet the eligibility requirements. All credential levels require that you have obtained coach-specific education, coaching experience, mentor coaching, and to pass a performance evaluation as well as the ICF exam. At the ACC and PCC level, how these different requirements are met is dependent on the type of coach training program or programs that you have completed. Let's begin with the Associate Certified Coach, or what we call the ACC level. There are 3 different application paths to the ACC credential. The type of training program you complete determines which application path you'll follow. There is the ACC ACTP path, the ACC ACSTH path, and the ACC portfolio path. Now, as of August 1st, anyone completing a level 1 or 2 education offering will apply via the ACC ACTP path.
This is not me. I'm already that. I'm very cool. 33 participants. Who's on this?
Could you please put yourself on mute?
All right.
Thank you. Go ahead, Angie.
For the ACC ACTP path application, you will need to have completed an entire ICF accredited coach training program, or ACTP for short. An ACTP, when completed in full, includes mentor coaching and a performance evaluation. Therefore, those requirements do not need to be included in your application to ICF. In your application, you'll provide your training certificate and current count of coaching experience hours. You will need to have at least 100 hours, of which 75 are paid, of coaching experience following the start of your coach-specific training. Within these hours, you must have at least 8 clients, and of the 100 hours, at least 25 need to have occurred within 18 months prior to submission of your application. Once your application has been reviewed, you'll then receive information on taking the Coach Knowledge Assessment exam, or the CKA for short. The ACC ACTP application currently has a price of $100 US, or 300. That was $100 US for members and $300 for non-members. There's an estimated 4 weeks for the review of this application type. And for those individuals who complete one of the new level 1 accreditation programs, the application process will be similar to the ACTP process we just covered, as a level 1 program includes both mentor coaching and a performance assessment to the ACC level. The application path for this will be available as of August 1st, but please watch the website for its availability. The ACC ACSTH path. This is for those who have completed 60 hours of coach-specific training by completing 1 or more accredited coach-specific training hours, or what we call an ACSTH path. They may also have completed a portion of an ACTP. Along with your training certificate or certificates of completion, you will also need to have at least 10 hours of mentor coaching done over a minimum of 3 months. At least 3 hours must be one-on-one, but the remaining 7 are eligible to be in a group setting. You want to make sure that your group is no more than 10 participants. Your mentor coach must be either a PCC, MCC, or an ACC that has completed at least 1 renewal cycle. Additionally, in your application, you'll provide a recording of one of your client coaching sessions along with a written transcript. The recording needs to be between 20 and 60 minutes in length. At the ACC level, you will need to have at least 100 hours of coaching experience, of which 75 are paid following the start of your coach-specific training. Within these hours, you must have at least 8 clients, and of that 100 hours, at least 25 need to have occurred within 18 months prior to submission of your application. Once your application has been reviewed, you will then receive information on taking the Coach Knowledge Assessment. And the ACC ACSTH application currently has a price of $300 US for members and $500 US for non-members. There's an estimated 14 weeks for the review of this application. If you are counting continuing coach education, or what we call CCE units, and or if you're using any non-ICF approved programs towards the training requirement of 60 hours, you will need to apply through the ACC portfolio path. If submitting non-ICF approved training, you will be required to provide robust documentation to demonstrate that you have completed a comprehensive training program that includes the ICF definition of coaching, code of ethics, and core competencies, and is organized in a scope and sequence that encourages your growth as a coach. You will also need to have at least 10 hours of mentor coaching done over a minimum of 3 months, and at least 3 hours must be one-on-one. However, again, the remaining 7 hours are eligible to be in a group setting. Your mentor coach must either hold a PCC, MCC, or an ACC that has completed at least one renewal cycle. Additionally, with the ACC portfolio, in your application, you'll provide a recording of one of your client coaching sessions along with a written transcript. The recording needs to be between 20 and 60 minutes. At the ACC level, this is as similar as the ACC, ACTP, and ACSCH with the 100 hours. So of those 100 coaching experience hours, 75 need to be paid, and you'll need to have at least 25 hours that were completed within the 18 months prior to your submission of the application. Once your application has been reviewed, you'll then receive information on taking the coach knowledge assessment. And the application currently has a price of $400 US for members and $600 for non-members. There's an estimated 14 weeks for review of this application. For ACC's resources on the website, the current information on the ACC requirements, full details on different application paths or requirements, and access to resource pages for those requirements, please visit the website at coachingfederation.org. Click on Credentials and Standards in the menu bar, and then on the resulting gray navigation bar, click on ACC Paths. The resources page can be found at the bottom of the page. Now let's take a look at the professional certified coach, or what we call the PCC level. As with the ACC, there are 3 different application paths for the PCC credential. The type of training program or programs you completed determines which application path you'll follow. We have the PCC ACTP path, the PCC ACSCH path, and the PCC portfolio path. As of August 1st, there will be an additional PCC application available for those that have completed a level 2 program. For the PCC ACTP application path, you will need to have completed an entire ICF accredited coach training program, or again, the ACTP for short. An ACTP, when completed in full, includes mentor coaching and a performance evaluation done to the PCC level. Therefore, those requirements do not need to be included in your application to ICF. In your application, you'll provide your training certificate of completion, current count of coaching experience hours. You will need to have at least 500 hours, of which 450 are paid, of coaching experience following the start of your coach-specific training. Within these hours, you must have at least 25 clients, and of the 500 hours, at least 50 need to have occurred within the 18 months prior to the submission of your application. Once your application has been reviewed, if you have not already passed the CKA, you will then receive information on taking the coach knowledge assessment. Please know, as of August 1st, the updated credentialing exam to the updated core competencies will be released. Any application submitted after the new exam has been released will require that the updated credentialing exam be taken and passed, even if the CKA had previously been passed. The PCC ACTP application currently has a price of $300 US for members and $500 for non-members. There's an estimated 4 weeks for the review of this application type. As of August 1st, ACTP programs will be transitioning to the accreditation type of level 2. Applicants who complete a level 2 program will submit an application in the same manner as just described. For the PCC ACSDH application path, you'll need to have 125 or more training hours completed through one or more accredited coach-specific training hours programs, or including a completion of part of an ACTP program. Along with your training certificate or certificates, you will also need to have at least 10 hours of mentor coaching done over a minimum of 3 months. 3 of the 10 hours must be one-on-one. The remaining hours are eligible to be completed within a group setting, but your mentor coach must be a current PCC or MCC credential holder. Additionally, in your application, you will provide 2 recordings of client coaching sessions along with a written transcript. Again, each of these recordings need to be between 20 and 60 minutes. At the PCC level, you will need to have at least 500 hours of coaching experience, of which 450 are paid, following the start of your coach-specific training. Within the hours, you must have at least 25 clients, and of the 500 hours, at least 50 need to have occurred within 18 months prior to the submission of your application. Once your application has been reviewed, if you have not already passed the CKA, you will then receive information on taking the Coach Knowledge Assessment exam. Again, as of August 1st, that new credentialing exam will be released. And if you submit at that time, you will need to take that exam, even if you had previously taken and passed the CKA. The PCC SDH application currently has a price of $575 US for members and $775 for non-members. There's an estimated 14 weeks for the review of this application type. For the PCC portfolio path, again, this will require 125 hours of coach-specific training. And the reason that you would apply via the PCC portfolio path is if you are using any CCEs or non-ICF approved training. Everybody doing okay? It's a lot of information, but I promise the Q&A at the end will be wonderful. All right, for the PCC portfolio, you will also need to have at least 10 hours of mentor coaching done over a minimum of 3 months. 3 of the 10 hours must be one-on-one. The remaining hours are eligible to be within a group setting. Your mentor coach must be a current PCC or MCC credential holder. In your application, you will also provide 2 recordings of client coaching sessions along with a written transcript. Each recording needs to be between 20 and 60 minutes in length. At the PCC level, again, those 500 hours, it's the same with all 3 paths, but I am going to go over them again just in case anyone missed it. So that's 500 hours of coaching experience, of which 450 are paid following the start of your coach-specific training. Within these hours, you must have at least 25 clients, and of the 500 hours, at least 50 need to have occurred within 18 months prior to submission of your application. Once the application's been reviewed, if you have not already passed that CKA, you will then receive information on taking the exam. As of August 1st, the updated credentialing exam to the updated core competencies will be released. Any application submitted after the new exam has been released will require that the updated credentialing exam be taken and passed, even if the CKA had previously been passed. For the PCC portfolio application, currently has a price of $675 US for members and $875 for non-members. There's an estimated 18 weeks for the review of this application type. For current information on the PCC requirements, full details on the different application path requirements, and access to resource pages for those requirements, please visit the website, click on Credentials and Standards in the menu bar, and then on the resulting gray navigation bar, click on PCC Paths. The resources pages can be found at the bottom. All right, the MCC application. For the MCC credential, only one application is available currently. However, as of August 1st, there will be an additional MCC application path. We'll go over that a bit later. You'll need to submit your training certificate or certificates to demonstrate that you have completed at least 200 hours of coach-specific training. If you're using any non-ICF approved training towards the 200 hours, you will need to be required to provide robust documentation on the training provided in the program. You will also need to have at least 10 hours of mentor coaching done over a minimum of 3 months. 3 of the 10 hours must be one-on-one. The remaining may be in a group setting. Your mentor coach must be a current MCC, and the mentoring hours must not have been used towards a previous credential. So if someone receives their PCC, they will need to either get new MCC mentor coach hours to apply for the MCC, or if they had the training or mentor coaching before and did not use it towards an ACC or PCC, they are welcome to go ahead and use those at that time. In your application, you'll provide 2 recordings of client coaching sessions along with a written transcript. Each recording needs to be between 20 and 60 minutes. At the MCC level, you'll need to have at least 2,500 hours of coaching experience, of which 2,250 are paid following the start of your coach-specific training. Within these hours, you must have at least 35 clients. Once the application has been reviewed, if you have not already passed the CKA, you will then receive information on taking the CKA. And as of August 1st, the updated credentialing exam to the updated core competencies will be released. Any application submitted after the new exam has been released will require that the updated credential exam be taken and passed, even if the CKA had been previously passed. For pricing on that MCC application, it currently holds a price of $575 US for members and $775 for non-members. There's an estimated 18 weeks for the review of the application type.
Angie, just let me know if this is the correct slide.
Let's go back 1.
There you go.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Now, for coach-specific training, let's take a closer look at each requirement that it takes to apply for an ICF credential. First, we'll cover the coach-specific training requirements. As you can see, there are several options for training types that can be used towards an ICF credential. We have the ACTP, or the Accredited Coach Training Program, the ACSTH, which is the Approved Coach-Specific Training Hours. CCE is Continued Coach Education, and non-approved training. If you're using non-approved training towards the training requirements, you'll need to supply robust documentation, including course outlines and syllabus, along with student materials such as manuals or workbooks, PowerPoint slide decks, and any documentation that would show the content and context of the program. Additional information and resources on training requirements can be found in the coaching education page, which may be accessed through the blue header located at the bottom of the ACC, PCC, or MCC information pages. In 2022, ICF Coach Education will begin to accredit coach education organizations as Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3. You will begin to see reference to these levels as new accreditation types are incorporated into the individual credentialing process. Please be watching the website in the credentials and standards section for forthcoming information and details if you have or are planning on completing a program under these new accreditations. While ACTP and ACSTH will be retired as program accreditation types by 2023, be advised that this does not affect the individual credentialing process. I hope that brings some peace of mind to everyone. Current and past ACTP, ACSDH, and CCE programs will continue to be accepted towards the training requirement for any ICF credential. The portfolio application pathway will continue to be available for those using CCEs or non-ICF approved training. Your client coaching experience. For the client coaching experience, you may count any coaching you have done at the start of your coach training. ICF defines the start of coach training as any ACTP or ACSDH program or any CCE program with at least 30 hours, of which at least 24 hours are in core competency, or a non-approved program with at least 30 hours of coach training, where again, 24 hours must be in core competency. As soon as you begin coaching, you should begin logging client coaching hours. A simple spreadsheet is effective. 4 types of clients may be included on the coaching log: individual, group or team, internal, and third party. Keeping with the ICF Code of Ethics, you must obtain consent from each client to list his or her information on a client coaching log. The consent should be documented in compliance with all relevant laws, for example, the European GDPR rules. Individuals who do not consent to have their names listed must be left off of the log, except in internal or third-party coaching arrangements with organizations that have a confidentiality policy. Let's see. All right, regarding those third-party and internal coaching hours, in those cases, you would obtain a reference letter for the organization verifying the number of clients and coaching hours provided. These items should be maintained for your records and will not be submitted to ICF. In your credential application, you will be required to complete an attestation of your coaching experience. Applicants no longer submit their coaching log in the application. However, you will need to maintain your coaching log in case you are audited. Additional information and resources on experience requirements, including a template of a client log, in case you would like it, can be found on the experience page, which may be accessed through the blue header located at the bottom of the ACC, PCC, or MCC information pages. Mentor coaching for an ICF credential focuses on developing coaching skills as they relate to the core competencies and not on the exploration of challenges of the coaching professional practice, such as building a business or achieving work-life balance. You may work with any current ICF credential holder with a credential at or above the level to which you will be applying. Please note that for ACC credential coaches, they must have renewed their credential at least once before they're eligible to be a mentor coach. Additional information and resources on mentor coaching, along with the link to find a mentor coach, can be found on the mentor coaching page, which can be accessed through the blue header located at the bottom of the ACC, PCC, or MCC information pages. The performance evaluations. For the performance evaluations, applicants will submit a recording or recordings of a client coaching session that is between 20 and 60 minutes in length. The session must be with a regular client. Along with the recording, a written transcript of the audio file must be submitted. The transcript must be in the language in which the session is spoken. If the session is in a language that is not on the current list ICF available languages for assessment, then an English transcript of the session must also be submitted. For the file requirements for the performance evaluation, it must be submitted as one file. Multiple files for one session will not be accepted. The recording must be submitted in an audio-only file type. Videos will not be accepted, nor will providing a link to access the recording. The file size must be 95 megabytes or less. The transcript must be the transcript must be in a Word document. Excel, text, or PDF will not be accepted. The reason for this is when an assessor is completing an assessment for you, they want to be able to offer quality feedback, and this allows them to copy and paste examples from your transcript into the feedback provided. Additional information and resources on performance evaluation requirements include the minimum skills, and the list of available languages for each level can be found on the performance evaluation page, which may be assessed through the blue header located at the bottom of the ACC, PCC, or MCC information pages. You'll also want to make sure in that transcript that you indicate who's speaking at each time, and for each change of speaker, you'll need to have a timestamp. A lot of the transcript services do offer this, and if you contact the credentialing staff, they can give you some suggestions on wonderful transcription services. The CKA exam is an online multiple choice test based on the ICF definition of coaching, core competencies, and ethics. If you do not pass the CKA, you may retake the CKA with a $75 US retake fee. The exam is the last part of the credentialing process. Once your application has been received, reviewed, and all is in order, you'll then receive information on taking the exam. Additional information, access to the core competencies and ethics page, the sample questions for the CKA can be found on the Coach Knowledge Assessment page, which may be assessed through the blue header located at the bottom of the ACC, PCC, or MCC information pages. As of August 1st, the CKA will be replaced by the updated credentialing exam. For any application submitted after the release of this exam, applicants will need to pass the updated credential exam, even if they had previously taken the CKA and passed. Credential renewals. Once your credential has been awarded, it is valid for 3 years. All credentials are now set to expire at the end of the month, 3 years out from when the credential is awarded. During that time, you will need to acquire at least an additional 40 hours of continuing coach education. Of the 40 hours, 24 must be in core competency. Of those 24, 3 must be in ethics. And for the ACCs, they must have 10 hours of mentor coaching that occurred after the credential was awarded. The 10 hours of mentor coaching does count towards those 24 hours of core competencies, however. The remaining 16 to meet the total of 40 hours may be an additional core competency or resource development. This includes personal development, other skills and tools, business development, things like that. So it's got quite a bit of flexibility there. Right. To learn more about the requirements for the renewal of a credential, please visit the website. Click on Credentials and Standards in the menu bar, and then on Renew Credential in the gray navigation bar. To find out about acceptable CCEs and how to document them and resources to find CCEs, please visit the Professional Development pages, also accessed under the Credentials and Standards menu item. If you are ready to create your application to apply for a credential or to help you determine which credential level and application path you need to pursue, please complete the credentialing survey. You may find the survey on the website under Credentials and Standards in the menu bar and then click on Apply Now. This short survey will help ensure you reach the right application. At the end of the survey, you may either access the information on the requirements for the level and application type for which you're eligible, or you're welcome to click the link to create the application. If you find that you need support in completing your application for an ICF credential or understanding the credentialing process as it relates to your situation, please do not hesitate to reach out to the ICF Credentials and Standards Support Team. On the credential and standards pages of the website, a chat feature is available during the business days, Monday through Friday. This is available from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or you may send an email to support@coachingfederation.org. Or if you would prefer to speak directly with a team member, you may call during business days, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 1-888-423-3131. Thank you for spending the time to learn about the ICF credentialing process. I hope this presentation was helpful, but now my fun part. Questions?
So thank you so much, Angie, and also April, for being here. Wow, that's a lot of information, a lot of details. The recording will be available on ICF Orange County Chapter's YouTube video, YouTube later on. So don't worry, you can watch this all again. But in the meantime, let's have some questions. We have a little more than, well, about 20 minutes, not quite. And Cynthia, I see your hand raised. Why don't you go ahead and either raise your hand or put your question in chat, and go ahead, Cynthia.
Thank you, and thank you both for the time today. My question is on the resource CCEs and how we might know whether or not those are approved. You know, should we get those approved ahead of time? Is it kind of general and we just kind of put that into the application? How might we think about that?
That is an amazing question, Cynthia, and I'm so glad that you asked it, because resource development, you can really make that fun into getting some really, it could be reading a book, it could be listening to business development series, personal development. If you find inspiration in a team building movie, you could put those things in there. You can also count writing any form of like research about business. So it's those things that are relating to your business and to your coaching and your personal development. But it just gives you a little bit more flexibility.
Wonderful.
And you do not ever need to supply a recording or a certificate of completion for personal development, professional development. It's really whatever you would like it for it to be. It's what is going to help you grow as a coach. Great. Thanks.
Over to Chris for a question. He's got his hand raised.
Hi, thank you so much, Greta. Angie, I have a question. It's sort of a specific credentialing question. I'm an ACC and working toward the PCC. So I'd like some clarification on what carries over from the ACC that you don't need to do for the PCC, and what is additional? Because I think when you listed was if you're coming in as a PCC. So I'm curious what that situation is when you're leveling up, so to speak.
Do you know which PCC application path that you would be following?
Well, I did the ACSTH for the ACC. So do you have to stick with the ACSTH then, or
no?
How does that work?
No. So if you completed anything that you used for your ACC, you're welcome to use for the PCC. However, unless for any reason, if your mentor coach happened to be an ACC, you would need new mentor hours with either a PCC or an MCC. But outside of that, everything else carries over. Now, if you are choosing to use any CCEs or non-approved training towards completing the remainder of those 125 hours, then you would apply via the portfolio path. But you are more than welcome to do that. You just want to make sure that with that portfolio path, you have at least 100 hours in core competency, and the remaining 25 are welcome to be from resource development.
Understood. And then with the coach, with the recording, then does the one recording I already submitted then count as one recording, or are there two more recordings that have to be submitted?
You'll need 2 additional recordings, and this is the reason why is because the ACC is assessed in a completely different manner.
Okay.
So the PCC assessments are completed based off of the PCC markers.
Understood. So
So
they're
you'll
looked at
want
differently.
2 new recordings. Now, if you are choosing, those recordings are welcome to be with the same client. They can be with different clients. It's really up to you. If you choose to use the same client, you want to make sure that each recording is not a continuance of the previous, because the same assessor does not listen to both. So
Understood.
you want to make sure that each are completed in full.
Thank you. And one small follow-up question to that, I'm so sorry.
Sure.
With the oh shoot, I forgot what it was. Never mind. Moving on. Sorry about
Maybe
that.
you'll come back.
I'll put it in the chat if I think of it.
All right,
Thank you.
wonderful.
Okay, so Pauline had her hand up, and then Pauline, you bounced off. Do you still have a question?
Yes, hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. I'm not sure whether this question will be like one that you could answer right now. I'm mentoring a master's level, not master credential for coaching. They're wanting to entry level the ACC. And what's coming up for them is that when you do a master's or a PhD, there is no specific coaching model that you actually do in that particular thing, particularly when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Even though a major portion of the work is coaching, it's not accredited as a course per se in coaching that ICF recognizes, but the amount of hours that the person is doing is substantial. And so just wondering what the easiest entry point for them is, just going for an ACC if we recognize competencies and displayed competencies.
Sure. That's a great question. So what you can do is if you work with your client to determine if the education that they are receiving is related to ICF core competencies and the code of ethics, you are welcome to apply for a credential with that training. You will just need to make sure and supply that robust documentation, and they would apply via the portfolio path.
So the robust documentation seems to be the problem. So they can do their accreditation, their transcript, and because it's taken so long to do, and it's a diversity inclusion portfolio, they don't know what other documentation to provide, and like they're only going for ACC, and they do demonstrate a PCC level of competence. So it's just one of those things that the diversity inclusion lens, particularly when they're a diverse client themselves and who have suffered trauma through the accreditation process, they substantially need assistance with knowing how to actually navigate this. It's not an easy navigation for them on the accreditation process.
Sure. So I think the best option for them would be if you would like to go ahead and help them get the application into their profile, and they can do this without being a member first, or they're welcome to go ahead and join as well. But once you get into that application, there's a link that they'll need to fill out for that robust documentation. It has questions in there that will help them know what they need to provide. But they can feel free to call that 888 number and speak with a team member from the education team, and they would be happy to walk them through what they need to have with that.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that. I
You're
really
very
needed to
welcome.
support them.
And
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
I'll chime in, Pauline. Feel free to refer their school or have them refer their school to us so we can chat and they can teach the core competencies. So in the future, it's a real seamless process for their students to graduate and get their credential with us. So anyway, a lot of academic schools are now starting to use the core competencies in their criteria, and that's making the students' experience much better when they graduate.
Thank
Hey.
you so much, April.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, great questions, everyone. We've got three more questions in chat. One from Holly. Would you please comment on paid coaching hours and what qualifies for paid coaching hours?
This is such a great question and one that I really enjoy getting because you can make so much fun out of getting paid hours. Anytime that you receive anything of monetary value, they're considered paid. For example, if you're really wanting to give maybe back to the community and you set something up so that maybe they really truly can't afford much, but they offer you anything of monetary value, then you can count those as paid. But you're also more than welcome to do pro bono hours for those individuals as well. So I've had even people say, oh, well, I was paid with a bushel of apples. Does that count? Absolutely. If you would have to pay for it to purchase it and get it, then it can be counted as paid. If you are coaching internally or a third party and coaching is a part of your job description, all of those hours would be counted as paid.
And so
was there a little bit more detail?
And trades, Angie, I like trades. So trades,
yes,
I once
trades
traded a
is
website
good.
build for coaching hours. So that counts, right?
Go and coach your hairdresser and they do your hair for free and it's a paid hour. So you can have really a lot of fun and offer your service and build your skills at the same time. But this just really kind of teaches the world truly what coaching is and educates, but gets you those paid hours that you need in order to apply for the credential, but then you're giving back in the same sense. So you can really have a lot of fun with getting those paid hours.
Yeah. Okay. This is Holly. So for the question, if they do pay hours, is there a minimum amount that is?
No.
Okay.
No, and you will never tell ICF, or you don't have to tell anyone what they paid you. That's between you and your client. It can be any amount.
Okay. Thank you.
I have had someone that was trying to give back to a poverty community, and they literally accepted pennies. And to say this, now when you're offering that, please know your value. As a coach, know your value. So it's not something that you want to do all the time, but it's really a good way to give back, but help what your needs are as well.
Great. So thank you. Let's keep moving. Here's a question from Joanne Larson. Does ICF have a disclosure template it wants us to use for securing permission from clients to use their information on our coaching log? Does ICF have a disclosure template?
For members in the member toolkit, there are templates that can be used for that. But you also may want to look and make sure that with your local laws, if there's any specific requirement, but generally there's not, but there are some templates. If you would like to reach out to a member of our team or the credentialing team, we would be happy to point you to that.
Okay, I see a smile from Joanne and a thumbs up. Great. Okay, back to Chris, who remembered his question. After I took my CKA, that's the knowledge assessment exam, for the ACC, all these acronyms, right? I was one of the volunteers to test or pilot the new exam. Not sure what that process was called, by the way. Does that count as having taken the new exam, or do I need to take it again for the PCC?
Unfortunately, if you do submit your PCC after August 1st or after, you would need to take it again, even for anyone that completed the pilot. But that is a really great question, and I appreciate you doing that because we needed those pilots completed in order to just really help with the process and make sure that the application, the exam was going to be good.
It was a great process, and I love the new exam, by the way.
Oh,
I think it
that's so
is,
great.
if it is like what the pilot was, it's really, really good.
Yes, it will be very, very similar to,
I loved it.
if not the same. There may be just very minor tweaks.
Erica has a follow-up question to Chris's. I received my ACC certification. Do I need to take another training to get the PCC level certification?
Erica, if you completed an ACTP program, then the training carries over to that PCC. So you would supply that certificate of completion again, the same one that you supplied for the ACC, and you're complete the attestation. And that's all of that. Now, if you're applying via the ACSDH path or portfolio path, you'll need to go ahead and add whatever you need to make the PCC requirements, but you do reuse those things from the ACC, including your coaching experience hours.
So it seems like it's you're building on the, if you're going for
Yes.
the PCC, you build on the ACC level, but yet I keep hearing you say, which path did you follow? So you need to take that into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Well, so we have a few more minutes for some more questions. Either raise your hand or put it in chat. Come off mute. Yeah.
I received a direct message, and it's such a great question that I want to make sure that I want to address it. The question is there a time limit on the recording similar to the hours amassed 18 months prior to the application? So for your recorded performance evaluation sessions, those really can be, there's not a recency requirement for those. So they can be from anywhere. Just remember that as you continue to coach, those skills are going to grow. And also allow your mentor, coach, or coaches to review those before you submit them.
Okay, thank you. Who else has a question? Got 5 more minutes. Take advantage of it.
Just as a tip, I put the link in the chat to the coaching log template. I have used that through every credential path and continue to use it to this day. And I've noticed coaches I've worked with who don't do that scramble at the last minute to try to go back in their calendar and find all their hours, and it's very stressful. So I do highly recommend using that on an ongoing basis. It just makes your life easier when you go to apply.
Thank you, April.
Thank you so much, April.
Thank you. We have another question from Cynthia.
Yes, I figured I'd wait till everybody got their questions out. So one other question for you then. I'm thinking about, when I'm going to renew the ACC later this year, and I have the CCEs that are showing up on the International Learning Portal. But then when we do CCEs from local chapters or from others than the Learning Portal, how might we submit for those? Does each chapter have its own certificate, and do we have to attach all those certificates? Is that how we would do that?
That's another really good question. So the last couple of years, we created an application that was online so that once you have your credential, you can go ahead as you receive those CCEs and upload them into the renewal application. It just won't be eligible to be submitted until you're within that 6-month window of your expiration date. But so you can, once you receive those, you can go ahead and upload them. Now, each individual chapter has their own, because they have their own chapter logos and things like that. And they apply for those CCEs through the chapter with Maria Lester at the education team. So they provide those. Now, even though in the LMS, the learning management system, you can see your transcript, there is a brief video that will show you how to download that transcript, and you will want to go ahead and upload that because they are not linked with the application.
Okay.
But there's a nice video that will explain how you can get that transcript and upload it.
Okay, all right. That's a good call out. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Just for clarification, your local chapters typically don't have things automated in terms of maintaining your logs for your CCEs. So even though, for example, ICF Orange County has a record of who attended what webinar and we have certificates available, I really encourage everyone to make sure that you keep a good spreadsheet and a good filing system, because things are mostly done manually at the chapter level, at the chapter level. Yeah. So we've got, oh, do we have time for one more quick question? One more quick question. We've got tips from Chris in the chat. Thank yous. One more question from someone? No? Okay. Well, any closing comments from Angie and April on the ICF Global side?
I would just like to say that the global team is here to support you and help you in any way. And we would much rather you reach out with any questions rather than have any form of anxieties. And we want to ease those for you. So feel free to reach out and we'll get through this process together.
Thank you everyone for being here. From the chapter side, from ICF Orange County, if you have any questions, write to us at board@icforangecounty.org. We're standing by to help you, not only for those members of our own chapter, but if you want to talk or get in touch with us about anything else, feel free to connect with us. And also ICF headquarters at coachingfederation.org. They are here to help. And thank you so much for being here, everyone. We hope that you learned a little bit more about credentialing. Stay tuned to our website for the next 2 seminars on ICF credentialing in Q3 and Q4 of this year, where we're going to have more guest speakers from ICF Global. Watch for the recording on our YouTube channel, and we'll see you around town. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.